It's the Rangers Journal now.
Hello guys and welcome back to Rangers Journal podcast. As you know, I'm your host Scott Mackay. Just for a wee bit of context, we're doing this manager series to give you options, and we're getting people on to tell us about potential managers and how they're doing, how they can relate to Rangers, their strengths, their weaknesses. And I reached out to Stell yesterday, the day before, to see if there was anybody impressing in Cyprus, and he came back with the name Mauro Camoranesi. Stell, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. So tell us a wee bit about Camoranesi.
Well, this is an interesting one because, as you know, Camoranesi was a fantastic player. Won the World Cup with Italy. You don't need me to tell you his credentials. But he got a job in Cyprus for what I'd like to call a relegation for the team called Kadmi Odessa. He joined them in October last year. And again, he's as a head coach, he's been all over the place. I think it was in France. I think it was all over Eastern Europe as well. I think he coached in Mexico, I think. Anyway, so he's come to Cyprus with a big name, but he joined a relatively crap club. I mean, this club that he joined, they have a history of sacking head coaches. Last season they had 4. The year before they had 7. So when Camoranesi came in, it was a big shock to us because we're thinking this guy's a huge name. Why is he coming to this club? And he started pretty well. In fact, I think he won the first 2 and drew the third, and then he was gone. He was gone. And then we're hearing things that the club president, who had his twin sons at the club, asked him to play them in a cup game. He refused to. They had an argument and he left.
Right.
So we're thinking, okay, well, he's not coming back. A couple of weeks later, he's back in Cyprus at a club called Anorthosis, who are one of the big clubs in Cyprus.
Right.
They were the first Cypriot club to qualify for the Champions League. They had players like Ketspire and Kinkladze was there for a bit. But unfortunately, Anorthosis have had a lot of problems, financial problems in the last 2 to 3 years. They're not the powerhouse that they used to be. Last season, the Ultras raised about €1 million to save the stadium. Right. That's how bad it was. Players have come and gone. They owe money to players. They got a transfer embargo as well. So everything was leading to them effectively capitulating. They were in the relegation zone. So Camoranesi has come in, and again, it was an interesting one because the first thing we thought of was, well, how can they afford to pay his wages for a start?
Yeah.
And the second thing was, well, how is he going to cope with the restrictions? He's not able to bring in players in January. He's not able to do anything really.
Yeah.
So he's come in, and to be honest, Scott, he worked miracles.
Right.
You're talking about a coach that, you know, again, against all the odds, he had aging players. He had to rely on the youth academy. All right. I mean, the names at Anorthosis you might recognize are Sergio Conceição, who is the son of Sergio Conceição. He joined them in the summer. You might recognize Krychowiak, a Polish central midfielder that was at Paris Saint-Germain for a bit.
Great.
Kane Woolery, he's there, but he did his ACL. So they don't have like big names.
Yeah.
So he's had to deal with the restrictions, deal with the issues. And I'll tell you what, defensively, they were solid. Going forward, they were dangerous. And he got them to the basically mid-table position by the time that he left last week. Yeah. And the reason why he left was, again, a little bit sketchy. Apparently, he promised to sign a new contract. He didn't. He was umming and ahhing about it. So they just decided to part ways by mutual consent. But I don't know what Rangers' financial situation is. Last I heard that you going through a potential takeover from what I've heard.
Oh, it's definitely
yeah. So looking at, let's just say you're still going through these financial difficulties. Given the squad that you have, and I've looked at the players that you have, you got your left wing backs, you got your right wing backs, you got forwards, you can play the system that he wants based on what I've seen at Anorthosis.
Right, okay.
So in all fairness to the guy, again, they didn't win anything. He didn't get enough time to win anything really, but given the circumstances, given the restrictions, given injuries, and also don't forget, they had a striker called Rafa Lopez that had 12 goals by January.
Right.
And because of their financial problems, they had to sell him. But yet they were still getting results despite their top scorer not being there. And also they unearthed this young talent called Evangelos Karalambo that's being linked with Kaiserslautern now and Brighton. And he
Right.
gave him a chance. So I think he's worked miracles in all fairness.
What is his style of play like? What's his formation?
Well, he usually played the 3-4-2-1.
Right.
So there's a lot of emphasis on getting the ball out wide with the wing backs. A lot of emphasis on defensive stability.
Right.
And they went with the three backs. In fact, I don't know. Beavis Mugabe, he's there. He was at Motherwell, I think.
Oh, aye.
He's there. He played a few times for him. So it was more about, to be honest, look, you could say, oh, it's the Italian way. I just think it was the way that he tried to drill the team and make them more defensively solid. They don't concede goals, so they don't get relegated. Like they were dangerous. So again, based on that, I wouldn't expect Rangers to be playing this free-flowing attacking football, but they will be dangerous. They were dangerous from set pieces. They had well-worked corner routines. From free kicks, again, they were dangerous. Defensively pretty solid anyway. And again, injuries, suspensions, and restrictions hindered him. I think they would have been challenging for the top six, in my opinion, if he had the resources to do it.
Sounds quite interesting, actually. Like, how big's his ceiling? Where do you think he could go and manage? How good is he?
Look, he isn't this fiery character. He's very composed. His press conferences, he's very professional. He comes across as a really nice person. He's very open to talking tactics. I think he's an intelligent guy.
Right.
And maybe because his CV or, coaching smaller clubs, lesser nations, works against him. Now, I don't know the expectations of Glasgow Rangers supporters. I can't say if you guys want like Ancelotti or someone like that. But if you want a coach to come in that will solidify you, make you defensively solid so that at least you know that you got a blueprint, a starting point, I think he's the right guy. As I said, he's got the credentials from a playing perspective. You're talking about a guy that's played at the highest level. So he knows what is expected of players. And yes, it doesn't translate to coaching because we've seen great players fail like Ruud Gullit and Vialli, etc., God rest his soul. But I think he's got something, but he needs that chance. That's what I believe anyway.
Right. I've done a lot of interviews this week in terms of like Liam Rosenwa, Will Still.
At Strasbourg.
Aye. Will Still at Lons. And these are guys that I'm wondering they're probably out with Rangers' reach already, even though they're young and they've got loads of potential. So, in relation to Camoranesi, could you see him like going to a French league, a Bundesliga club, somewhere like that, getting that big break and taking it? Do you think he could manage at that level?
Well, he was assistant at Marseille for a bit,
Right,
if I'm not mistaken. I think he was there for a few weeks, but they had a lot of problems as well.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, you're talking about a guy that, as a player, where was he? He was at Juventus, he was at Stuttgart, he's played for big clubs in South America. So in terms of the name and the reputation and what he can bring, not just as a coach, but also to attract players, I think it's huge. And let's get it right. You guys have had Italians in the past. You had Amoruso, you had Negri, you had Gattuso. So it won't be... exactly. So it won't be unfamiliar territory to him because I'm pretty certain he would have spoken to these guys. Or again, I'm hypothetically speaking, if he does get approached, I'm sure he'd speak to these guys and say, well, what is expected? But again, it's a huge club, Rangers. You've got 40,000 every game, whatever it is. So I don't think that's going to phase him. I really don't. And as I said, he's good with the press, so they will like him and it'll make things a lot easier. He's a good man manager. And the one thing I will say, Scott, he galvanized this team. They played my team, Omonia. And I will make Omonia great again, Cap, because my team is rubbish right now.
We've got to make Rangers great again, Cap.
Oh, mate. It starts something. Yeah. But You know, they came to our place without a recognised striker because Rafa was sold. Krikoviak went off after like 20 minutes, and we were in top form at the time. But they absolutely bullied us. They outsmarted us, outfought us. You're going to get 100% commitment from these players. And he's one of these coaches where if a player's level drops in terms of commitment or attitude, you're gone. That's it. There's no messing around. None whatsoever. And that's how it should be.
Aye, definitely, 100%. It sounds as if he's a gem that's not been unearthed yet, if that makes any sense. It sounds like he's got potential. I think he's 48. He's still relatively young. I think he sounds as if. And I'm trying to figure out whether with this takeover, so it's going to bring a lot of money and stability into Rangers. So in terms of calibre of coach, I don't know if that's where Rangers would look, but I'm thinking should they be looking, because I think with the level Rangers play at domestically, I think we need to be looking at unearthing a gem, if that makes any sense, rather than going for a Will Still who's already been unearthed, or a Liam Rosenwald, or bringing back a Steven Gerrard. You know, we unearthed a gem in Steven Gerrard. Let's be honest, we took him for Liverpool youth setup. We gave him a stage. He performed okay on that stage. Got his one trophy out of 9. Got a big move to Aston Villa. So, in relation to Camoranesi, I'm thinking, could this be another potential Steven Gerrard story where we bring someone in that's a wee bit unknown in terms of being a manager and give him the funds and back him? And really, has he got a philosophy, would you say, in terms of a style of play?
Well, it's like I mentioned before with this system, he often went with 3 at the back, and he went with the 2 wing backs because I think he knew that the 2 wing backs that he had, Kiko on one side and Conceição on the other, you're going to get assists. I mean, both of those players have got fantastic feet. So Kiko's left foot is special. So when you got set pieces, he's dangerous. Conceição as well. I think Conceição's got about 11 assists this season or something like that. And you know what you're going to get from this team. They're going to be organized. They're going to be physical. They're going to be disciplined. And when you're hitting teams on the counter attack, look, he does the basics right. This is I think football's become too robotic these days. There's too much focus on inverted wingers and this and that. What Camoranesi does, he looks at the game. He says, right, well, we get a corner. If we are organized and we're a threat, then we've got a chance to score goals. Right. And he focuses on the basics, which should be done. So again, work rate, effort, stability. These are things that, again, they're kind of like being coached out of players, characters being coached out of players, but he brings it into them. So I'm sure you've got players at Rangers, and same with Omonia, where you're thinking you could be doing so much better if you had the right, mind state. And he will bring that in. He'll bring that in 100%. He galvanizes them.
One player I could probably bring that into would be Jeff Day, believe it or not. Jeff Day. Right, so I don't know how to explain this guy, but he's getting in. There's interest from Chelsea. It was reported in January that Chelsea have registered an interest in Jeff Day. And see some of the goals we've conceded this season still. They're his fault. Because he's not looking over his shoulder. There's a severe lack of concentration with the boy. A severe lack of concentration. And don't get me wrong, right? If he's to stay, then fine. There's a player in there, a couple of seasons, he could probably move on for some money. But I mean, take the Man United match, Europa League game, for example. Rangers go 1 each with Dessers, minutes away for getting a point at Old Trafford, and a ball comes in Jeff Day's side, and I don't know who it was. I think it was Diogo Dalot crossed it in for Bruno Fernandes to score. But Jeff Day's standing as if he didn't know where the ball was. It just, honestly, looking around.
What's he like going forward, though?
He's okay. His numbers haven't been great, believe it or not.
Has he improved, though? Would you say he's improved since you first saw him?
He's been played out of position quite a bit. Under Camon, he kind of come out, played left wing some matches. And then the system's been tweaked, so he's been like a left wing back, a left back. He's been predominantly our left back all season. Going forward, at the start, it was very dangerous, very, very good at going forward, making different types of runs, inverted runs, taking the ball to the touchline, whipping it in, getting the byline, all that kind of stuff. But he seems to have frozen since January, since this registered interest from Chelsea, which I struggle to believe. It's almost as if his development stopped, if that makes any sense.
Well, mate, this is it. This is what I think I told you guys on your pod months ago that, you know, defensively he's not great.
Aye.
He's not great defensively. He ball watches a lot. His anticipation isn't great, but going forward, he's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's young, and once again, people maybe don't know, or maybe they don't consider the fact that when he joined Upwell on loan, that was actually his first pro contract.
Aye.
So, you know, and I think, was it Fluminense that had him? They were happy to let him go because, you know, he had too much of a party boy thing. But then when he was in Cyprus, he was behaving himself. But then the Rangers' interest came in the January and he fell off. I'm just saying. Saying.
It's weird, like, in relation to Camoranesi, I think Jeff Day would benefit from a manager like that in terms of man management skills and galvanising players. And we've got value for money with Jeff Day, I would say. A little bit more value for money, a little bit more than that, I would probably say. I would say he's been a fairly solid signing, but not spectacular. In the interest from Chelsea.
What was the fee, sorry? How much did you pay roughly?
500,000 or something. 500k. I mean, you can't complain. I think if he could kink out the defensive side, it'd be fine. Like, it'd be a good left back. But he's just been a wee bit underwhelming at times. So I think in terms of managers, Camoranesi sounds like a guy that could come in and sort of fix Jeff Day, work with him. Is he a good player developer, Camoranesi?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as I said before, they got a striker called Evagora Calalambos. He was actually in Granada's under-19s for a year, and then he came back to Cyprus, and, you know, he was coming off the bench here and there, but Camoranesi gave him proper opportunities, and he's been doing really well. I mean, his goals tally isn't great, but he's 19 years old. However, he's represented the under-21s for the national team. He scored the other week against Israel in a friendly. So, and look, Anorthos's academy is one of the best out there in Cyprus. They've been known to produce a lot of young players, but unfortunately with Cyprus, a lot of clubs choose foreign players because they don't give the youngsters the time. They don't have the patience. And unfortunately, again, the rule in Cyprus is teams must play two young players or academy players, or have two academy players in the match day squad. And if they don't, then they get a fine. Well, the fine's like $2,000. It's nothing.
Right.
So, you know, what they do, sometimes they put two Cypriot goalkeepers on the bench at 18 just to make up the numbers, just to avoid the fine. So it's stupid. It's stupid. But that's just how it is, you know. And it's, you know, I'm going to go on about this again. You know, Cyprus has only got 1 million people there. When you look at Croatia, it's got 3 million people, and the quality of players that they produce over the years, it's a no-brainer. It really is. They need to focus on youth development. But, you know, back to Camoranesi, look, he's, as I said, he will get the mentality right at any club if they give him the chance. And if they give him resources as well, you know, it'd be a different story. But, you know, you said about gems, you know, hidden gems. There's one coach who's actually a British Cypriot that is coaching the Pakistani national team. His name's Stephen Constantine. And this guy has coached all over the world. Sudan, India, Pakistan, you name it. And he's not getting his opportunities. But everywhere he goes, he fights fires. Left, right, and centre. He clears up the mess and he makes it a great team. He makes it, you know, he achieves something great. There's a lot of coaches out there that don't get the opportunities for whatever reason. It's bizarre. And then you see these recycled coaches. This coach has got this job and then he gets sacked, then he goes to another job. And I'm thinking, all right, you've got a lot of young, talented players, but there's a lot of coaches out there who aren't getting the opportunities because of their CV. It's weird. It's weird. It's mad to me.
I know, mate. I know. Well, still, that was everything I kind of wanted to touch upon with Camoranesi for you. Sounds like, no, don't get me wrong. I think people will watch this and go, "Why is he being brought into the conversation? Why are you doing an interview on Mauro Camoranesi?" But like I said, it's about unearthing guys, and I think guys like Will Still and stuff are already unearthed. So I just don't know if Rangers need to dig a wee bit deeper to unearth the next Will Still or Liam Rosenwa or somebody of that ilk, if that's the way the club's wanting to go. How's Connor Goldson getting on?
Yeah, he's doing well. He's doing very well. Very, very well. And the thing is that Addis probably won't win the league. They're second in the table. By the time this recording goes out, the title might be wrapped up because Paphos are playing Mighty Momonia tonight. This is Saturday. And if they beat us, they'll be 10 points clear. Addis will need to beat AEK. Well, I can't see them doing it. But from what I've been told, Connor Goldson has been a massive influence in that dressing room. Like, he's practically the main captain. Even, excuse me, you might want to edit that out. You might want to edit that out. Didn't mean that. So he's practically the second captain, even though he's not a captain, if that makes sense. He's not the captain, but they see him as like a leader in that dressing room.
Yeah.
There have been so many occasions where there may have been, I don't know, a bit of, little bit of needle in the dressing room. He will solve it. Or maybe the coach might want a little bit of assistance when it comes to talking to players. So they really rate him. And the other thing is, he's really good with people. So, there's a story that I was told a couple of weeks ago that there was some Scottish, in fact, the Rangers fans went to Cyprus on holiday.
Right.
And they were staying in Brodara. And this guy, he's traveled to Limassol, which is about an hour and a half away, to go to the training ground to see Connor Goldson. But Goldson was already in training.
Yeah.
Right? So this guy's waited for Connor Goldson. This Addis member of staff has said to him, well, he's still in training, so he might be a while. The lad has driven his son back to Paralimni and gone back to Limassol. So he's done an hour and a half, 3 hours, 4.5 hours, right? And he's waited for Connor Goldson. And Goldson was about to leave, and Addis said, like, there's a guy waiting outside. He's a Rangers fan from Scotland. He goes, right, I need to go see him. He's been waiting for God knows how long. Signed shirts, everything for him.
Brilliant.
Everything for him. So he's a people person. He's a nice guy. He's been performing well. And yeah, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. You know, he'll probably be playing Conference League next season as well.
Good on him. Good on him. He's been missed this season anyway, I can tell you that from that.
Really?
Aye.
Well, because when he left, I also had Rangers fans telling me that he was rubbish, and they're glad to see the back of him.
I think it was just the nature of what the club were trying to do at the time in terms of trimming the wage bill and stuff like that. His time probably was up, but his replacement we got in is Robin Proper. Oh God, man, it makes you want Connor Goldson back. So it does.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm glad to hear. that you're all right. Still, thank you as ever. That was brilliant.
I appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
No problem. Guys, if you want to head over to This Is Map on Twitter, you'll find Still for more separate football content. And we'll see you again soon. Cheers.